it just hurt me to watch that when I know students are fidgeting, falling asleep, or just overall not engaged in the lesson. Hey teammates, welcome back, or welcome to Teaching with Tania. I'm so glad you have clicked on this video because I am telling you about my practicum teaching experience, which is the first time I really got my foot in the door and started actually teaching and presenting lessons to students. So in this video, I'm telling you guys some things I learned throughout that experience. Let's get started. One of my subscribers, Jennifer, gave me this idea, so if you have any video suggestions or things you want me to touch on, go ahead and leave those down below. By the way, if you haven't checked out my practicum video, I will go ahead and link it up here. But the first thing that I learned in practicum was how much prep work goes into teaching. As a student, I didn't think that much prep work went into teaching. I feel like you just got the lesson and boom, you're automatically teaching it. But to get the materials, the lesson plan, matching them to objectives, and also making sure that everything aligns, that's a lot of work and a lot of prep work that goes into teaching. And for my practicum, I had to teach 3 lessons. Well, I taught more than that, but 3 lessons were observed for me. And I realized that you can't just walk into a classroom and think that everything is going to go perfect. Like, you need to have some sort of plan. I don't know if you guys have heard the quote that if you don't plan, you plan to fail. And I actually just got back from orientation, and one of my leaders were talking about how in the classroom, if you don't plan, you will follow a plan, and that's the student's plan, and that's not always the best plan. Of course, you need to be planning and prepping before you step into the classroom to be an effective teacher, and that's what I learned during practicum. And speaking of being an effective teacher, another thing I learned during practicum is that you have to take care of yourself as a teacher. I remember I was reading this read aloud book about like the pumpkin life cycle, and my throat was just so raspy. I'm like, at the end of the day, like, I just need to keep reading, because reading on top of managing behavior, it was just a lot to deal with at once, and my voice was like going in and out like a microphone. I absolutely hated it, but I just didn't know what to do. And I feel like, looking back on it, I don't know why I beat myself up about this all the time, but why I didn't just stop and take a drink of water. Like, I should have just stopped the lesson, have the students like ask them a question about what was going on in the book, have them do a quick 30-second to a minute think, pair, share, give me a drink of water, take care of my needs so that I can continue teaching and reading fluently with excitement. And I don't know why I didn't do that. So the lesson I learned from that is it's important to take care of your teacher needs, whether it's getting a drink of water, using the bathroom, making sure you're in the right mental headspace so that you can be the best for your students. The next thing I learned is that less is more. I feel like as a new teacher especially, you have all these activities and things that you want to pack into one lesson when you really only have 30 to 45 minutes to get lesson done, and even a lot less than that to keep a child's attention span. So I had to realize that less is more. Once you get through the lesson and do it thoroughly, I feel like having one activity or 2 gets them engaged, or doing things throughout your lesson to make sure that they are on track with you and for you to check for their understanding. I felt like sometimes I try to pack entirely too much stuff into a lesson, and it was like, do this, do this, do this, do this, when it's like the students don't even know where I'm at or what they should be doing, because I was rushing through trying to get through everything, and I got mad at myself because I overplanned and I didn't get to all these activities. But as long as you're meeting the objective effectively, I feel like less is more. And that doesn't mean less planning, less effectiveness, or just taking out things that are crucial to your lesson. I feel like doing the best with what you have, meaning the time management during a lesson, is key. And no, of course, you're not going to get to everything, but I had to learn that the hard way. So taking things out and being more thorough with the things I do have planned and the things that we do have time for while meeting your objectives. Yeah. The next thing I learned during practicum is how much culture plays a part in education. If you watched my first day of practicum video, you realize that I was in a very rural area. I was in a very rural area, and I was even shocked to see like how much farms and things were around the school. Like, that was the school I was placed in. I was determined to do the best that I could. But I was just shocked to see, basically, I had a lot of students that lived on farms most of their lives. So some of the things that I was talking about was right up their alley, and some things, like, for example, going back to the pumpkin, like, they know how to grow things left and right. Like, they have a lot of that hands-on training and culture, and that's just what they're grew up around, so they know a lot about that stuff. But when you talk about other things, like things that belong in the city or going out to different places, they weren't exposed to that. That wasn't their culture, and I can't blame them for that. But I do feel like education needs to be relevant to what you know, what you're talking about, just to build that connection and build off of prior experiences. But if my students don't have that, then I had to change the lesson to fit them or what they have been exposed to, if that makes sense. During this time is when I realized how much cultural relevancy is important, and knowing where your students come from, the challenges they face, and what they're surrounded by or exposed to when they go home and leave the school building. Now, this one relates directly to teaching because I had a mentor teacher that had been teaching for 20 plus years, and we just had totally different styles of teaching. She was more in the mindset, old school usually, that the teachers have all the answers and basically you just sit and give students information. That made my skin like literally crawl, because sitting for 30 minutes listening to a lecture, barely taking notes, and you're just dumping like a fire hose. It was literally like a fire hose, just dumping information at the students. It made me, it just hurt. It hurt me to watch that when I know students are fidgeting, falling asleep, or just overall not engaged in the lesson. I feel like learning should be hands-on. So we do have different teaching styles, of course, but I learned that it's okay to do that. But also giving suggestions to older teachers is like, it's okay. It's okay, it's accepted. And even like questioning them why they do what they do, because yeah, you've been teaching for a long time, so sometimes you get in the rhythm of things and you're asking, nobody's really asking you, okay, why do you do this way, or why are you doing it that way? I feel like it's perfectly okay to ask those questions. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. How are you asking those questions? Are you coming from, wow, this is wrong, and trying to nitpick, or are you truly trying to serve the students best by asking this teacher what or why are they doing what they're doing in a nice, curious way, but still like, hopefully during that conversation you can give suggestions. And actually my teacher, thank God, was open to my suggestions and the way I modeled for her. As teachers, we are constantly learning from each other, so I was glad she was open to my feedback and open to my opinion, and showing that there is a way to be engaging and for the students to get the lesson. That's part of the reason I call you guys my teammates, because we're learning from each other, constantly growing and trying to get better at the arts and science of teaching. We all need each other and we cannot do this work alone. Last but not least, I have talked about this many times on my channel, how you have to be flexible and specifically expect the unexpected. If you are reading a book out loud, or a student has an accident, or just decides to throw up while you're taking them to recess or whatever, there's a fire drill, you have to expect the unexpected. And I wanted to give this analogy because students look to us. At the end of the day, if you are a teacher, you are a leader. The students look up to you like you were just automatically given that role, so we have to steward that well. So as a leader, the way you talk to your children, the way you handle misbehavior, all of that, whether you know it or not, the students are taking that in. Let me just give this analogy. If you are on a flight and something's going wrong, who do you look to first? The flight attendants, right? They're in charge of you, and we look to them for direction if something's happening or whatever. Same in the classroom. Students are looking at you if things go right, if things go wrong, if things go spectacular. They're seeing how you react and internalizing it, whether we like it or not. So in the classroom, whatever happens, it's up to you to stay calm, and I feel like you have to have an even keel, not personality, but demeanor, because at the end of the day, we are adults. Like, kids can't outsmart us, but the rest of the class are looking to you to see how you handle the situation. So I just wanted you to be aware of that, and that's something that I had to learn when I was in Practicum. I hope these things are beneficial to your Practicum experience, and let me know what grade you are doing for Practicum. I'd love to know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget to check out these other videos right here, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.